Welcome to another episode of Women in Focus. We are in the house of a Zanzibarian, and you'd wonder what that is. This is a woman that was born and brought up in Zanzibar, which is part of East Africa, or is next to East Africa, and I feel as if I am meeting my sister after such a long time. Her name is Bibi Singh, and she is our Woman in Focus today. How are you doing, Bibi?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Sushma.
So let's talk a little bit about Zanzibar.
Right.
Right next to, it's an island.
It's an island.
Right next to East Africa.
It's floating off the coast of East Africa.
And
Yes.
and I think you Zanzibarians had more things common to Tanganyika, which is now Tanzania.
Absolutely. So when Tanganyika and Zanzibar amalgamated after the revolution in
Right.
1964, it became Tanzania.
Ah,
Yeah,
so then Zanzibar became a part of Tanganyika.
The mainland.
Isn't
Exactly.
that just beautiful? So you were born there, and your family?
That's right. We are actually third generation Zanzibari Asians.
Wow.
Yes, third
and
generation.
so growing up in Zanzibar, how was that?
Growing up, I was there until the age of 8, and
All right.
all I remember, it's a very sensual island. I remember the smell of spices everywhere. The cloves were drying, always in short, small mountains,
Right.
and the colors of the fruit, the exotic fruits, the sea, the sand. It was just very visual memories. A very happy childhood. My jungle, my garden was a jungle.
Yes.
And I had a pet monkey who
wow.
adopted me. So I would follow the pet monkey and learned how to climb trees. And
wow.
it was just a beautiful, a happy, carefree childhood is what
You
I
know,
remember.
That's something that I find when I talk to people who were born and brought up in East Africa. It is that feeling of happiness, and we all played outside.
Yes.
I mean, I do remember you said your house was, like a jungle outside.
Yes.
There was a huge, lots of trees, etc.
Yes.
We had pomegranate trees
Yes.
in our garden,
Yes.
like 14, 15 of them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then bananas, and those are the two fruits that I remember that we had a lot in abundance.
Yes. That's
So-
the beauty of it. There was abundance. People could fish as much as they wanted. They could pluck fruit from the trees. Nobody went hungry. You got that feeling
Yeah,
that there was
didn't you?
nobody hungry.
So what made you guys leave Tanzania, and then where did you go?
So in 1964, the revolution happened and the British were asked to leave. And we had British passports. At that time, I was with my mother having a holiday in Nairobi. And so we never came back home. We were told just to carry on. So we went to Uganda there. I remember being in a hotel, Jeffrey's Hotel, waiting there for about 3 days while all the negotiation was going on to get us to England.
Right.
So that's where we went. We went to England at the age of 8.
Now, was that because I know that your mum and you were born in Ismaili?
Yes.
Was that the deal that the Aga Khan made to get you all out of Tanzania?
Well, this happened, I think, more so in Uganda in
Okay.
1972.
Right.
1964, Zanzibar is a tiny island.
Right.
It was not really,
No.
Britain accepted us very easily.
Because
we
you
were
were
very
very
small.
subject. Yeah.
Yes, and we were a small
So
number.
where did you live in England?
We lived, my uncle was already there, so we lived in a place called Colindale. And I went to a day school for about 2 years. And then at the age of 10, my parents moved to Dubai because that's where the oil was just squirting out of the ground at that time. And they wanted basically immigrants to come and
Right.
help that. And the original colonizers of Zanzibar were the Arabs in the 17th century.
Right.
So they said that any Muslim refugees can come here.
Oh,
Because they
wow.
knew that everybody is educated in
That's right.
Zanzibar.
Yeah.
So my father went, they took advantage of that opportunity and put me in a boarding school in England, because at that time in Dubai, you can imagine in 1968, there were just, it was a tree was a school and there was a slate under a tree. And it was very, very undeveloped. So I was in boarding schools from the age of 10 onwards.
So how many siblings?
I have a half sister. Yes, who's 16 years younger than me.
Oh my
So,
God.
yes.
So,
So brought up as an only child, really.
only child of your parents, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then your journey from Dubai
Yes.
to Canada, How did that happen?
So Dubai was just a holiday stop. So I was in a
Right,
boarding
always.
school, always.
Yeah.
And once a year I would go to Dubai for a holiday. Not in the summer because it was excruciating heat. So that was until 1980,
Right.
when I just started my master's, and my father had a heart attack and had to go and convalesce in a cooler climate. And so he asked me to come and take over the business basically and help
Right.
him in the business at least. So that's when I came to Dubai to actually live.
In Dubai?
Yes, for a year or two while I was handling my father's business, and that's where I met my husband.
Ah,
Yes.
Now that's a totally amazing story because your husband isn't an Ismaili.
No, he isn't. That's right. He's a Sikh. Yes.
And so, how was that for your parents or for his parents?
Well, not very easy for my parents because they were very, very strong Ismailis, and they
Right.
never expected that I would, be interested in a non-Ismaili. And so not very easy for them, but I think love won eventually. There were members in the family who would say to my mother, let her make her own mistakes, let her. And 36 years later, we're still
It was a
together.
good mistake.
Exactly.
When you so that's where you met Jagdish.
I met Jagdish in Dubai.
And so what was he doing in Dubai? Just visiting or?
He was a sales director of a commodities company,
Right.
which was based in Hong Kong.
Right.
Jagdish was born in Hong Kong. So
Now his family is interesting because his siblings
Yes.
were all born in Hong Kong, right?
yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
And very Hong Kong Sikh community is huge over there and very
Yes.
prosperous.
Yes, that's what he came from. In
Right.
fact, it's very interesting. There's an island called Stonecutters Island, which has all the guns and ammunitions of where Hong Kong ammunition is stored, and only Sikhs can work on that island because they're not supposed to smoke according to their religion, and so they were not a hazard. So yes, it's very interesting. So he had about 2 members of his family who were inspectors there. Yeah.
Wow,
It's
isn't
very
that
interesting.
interesting? So, your background in Zanzibar, his background in Hong Kong,
that's right,
and then coming to Dubai. What a
Yes.
mixture. So totally, immigrants, but from all walks of life.
That's right. Indians are everywhere. Isn't that a fact? The
They
colonial
are.
chessboard.
I want to take a short break, but come back
Yes.
and follow you guys from falling in love in Dubai
Right.
and then coming to Canada, because that must be another interesting journey. And your work with success, I understand.
Yes, that's right.
Let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Bibi Singh is our woman in focus today. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Bibi Singh is our woman in focus today. Now, I am really interested in her meeting this guy from Hong Kong, her from Dubai, and so you both met. And how was the meeting? How did you first meet him?
We met as a business encounter, actually, yes.
Right.
My father was in construction. He had a whole load of PVC pipes that he wanted to sell to construction companies. And as I said, he'd gone to convalesce in a cooler climate, and he was advised to leave Dubai because of his heart problems. So it was my job to get rid of these PVC pipes. So I approached him as a person who could find me a buyer, actually.
Right.
And I was willing to give him a commission. No, well, anyway, so that was how it started. And then I introduced him to, he was relatively new in Dubai at that time. So I introduced him to all my friends, local friends there. And so we started meeting socially in a group.
Right.
It was very difficult to have a one-on-one in
No, of
Dubai,
course
you can
not.
imagine.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was.
So by that time, Dubai had started growing fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was in by 1982.
Right.
1982. It was growing very, very fast, but not as fast as it has grown now.
No.
Now there's a skiing resort, I think, in a
Can you believe
mall.
that? Yes.
It's amazing.
So you met him. You told mom and dad, okay, I want to marry this guy, and so there was a little bit of, and then they said, okay.
Well, it wasn't quite as easy as that. So my mother always tells me that, Bibi, I knew you were in love with him before you knew it, because of the way that I would just get off the phone and my eyes would be bright and my skin color would be heightened, and she could see signs. So when my husband went away on a travel trip, she sent me off to Zaire. I have an auntie there who needed me because I speak, read and write French, and it's a French colony, as you know.
Right.
So I went over there while Jagdish was traveling, and remember, by that time we were just interested in each other, but nothing had actually formed. He was in the midst of finding out from his family if it would be all right to woo an Ismaili girl. And so when he came back, the bird had flown. And that's when I think, in my head, that's when our relationship became more romantic, because the phone calls from Zaire to Dubai, and I think that's when it developed more for me, the attachment, and I realized how much I missed him, to tell you the truth. And yes, so that's what happened. And then my uncle acted as an emissary between my mother and me, and she finally agreed to that. Yes, love conquered.
So marrying him, how was the ceremony? Was it a Sikh wedding? Was it a Ismaili wedding?
My father-in-law was dying, actually, at the time when we were supposed to get married.
Right.
And so we wanted to delay the wedding, but he, from his hospital bed, said, no, I want to see my youngest married before I pass away.
So he's the youngest in the family?
He's the youngest, the baby, yes. So we had to rearrange all our wedding plans. So I came flying to Edmonton, which is where he was, and we had a Sikh ceremony there.
Okay.
And then we went to London to have our reception there and our legal wedding there. And then we went to Dubai and had a reception there, and then in Hong Kong, because it was too soon for people to make travel plans to come to one wedding.
Yes.
So it was a long wedding.
So you went from place to place to place.
To celebrate with our friends.
Isn't that just
locally.
Beautiful?
Yeah.
Must have been just very exciting for you.
It was very exciting for me. It was like a whirlwind of events, and especially meeting Jagdish's family. It was the first time in 29 years that they'd gotten together.
Wow.
As a reunion.
Wow.
And so it was very bewildering. Sometimes I felt like the sideshow, and the reunion was more
because
main.
the family is very rambunctious. They all love singing and dancing and all that, don't they?
Rent a party.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a family of great, they're a wonderful family to have been married into. Yes, yes.
So what made you think of leaving Dubai and coming to, or why not go to Hong Kong?
Yeah, so we did. That's exactly what we did. So after we got married, within 6 months, Jagdish's company moved him back to Hong Kong.
Okay.
So that's when we went to Hong Kong. It was about 1983, something like that. And so that's where I spent the next 15 years of my life, where I had my 2 children as well. Yes.
And then eventually 1997,
exactly.
Hong Kong was going to go to mainland China.
That's right.
And you guys decided, hey,
that's right.
Time to move now.
Yes, because we weren't sure about the future for the children in Hong Kong at that time. And so we decided to move to Canada, where all his family was.
So how old were the kids then?
They were 11 and 13 at that time.
Wow. And what, 2 boys?
2 boys, that's right. 2 years difference between them.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to take a very short break, but I want to bring you back to Canada.
Okay.
And then we'll see how your life moved here. But take a short break and come back, Bibi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bibi Singh is our woman in focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Bibi Singh is our woman in focus. So we've left you 15 years in Hong Kong.
That's right.
And so did you have to speak Cantonese there or understand? Because you speak French, you speak fantastic English. You speak what, Kachi or Gujarati?
Kachi, exactly. Kachi, that's right.
And Kuru and all.
A bit of Swahili.
A bit of Swahili.
Yes.
Kemcho and
Gujarati.
Habari Gani, Missouri Sana and all that.
That's right.
So then, did you learn any words of Cantonese there?
I did try. There were 7 pregnant ladies, and we all took classes to try and learn Cantonese.
Right.
But it's a tonal language.
Yes.
So
do you find that it's a little harsh?
It sounds harsh when people are talking, but it's the tones. There are 5 different tones and they go da, 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 da. So there's constantly toning going on. And the way you say a word can actually change the meaning of the word. Right? So that was a bit complicated. So it was difficult for me to learn that language, but I did manage to get around, like market Cantonese and things like that. Yeah.
So like kitchen Swahili.
Kitchen Swahili, exactly. That's right. Yes.
So coming to Canada then, did you feel, I don't think you felt out of place at all.
I didn't, because we'd been coming here once every year for the past 7 years, because the family was here, so we'd visit them. And so no, it felt, in fact, we loved our trip here. It was like coming to a heaven, because it was so much space, and Hong Kong is congested and cement city. So we loved it. So when we decided to come here, the children were excited, because they'd met all their cousins, they were looking forward to a bigger family.
Right.
And no, it felt very, it was wonderful to be able to speak in English.
Yes.
And not have to struggle, you know, with language barriers. Yes.
How was it for you? I mean, you said you did your master's at the age of 57, so Jagdish found a job quickly, and then you guys just started, or you brought in money and started your life here?
Well, for the first year, I had to learn how to be a housewife. I had to learn how to, never had, at the age of 40, I started learning how to cook, clean, etc. Right? Because in Hong Kong we had 2 maids and a driver, and
in Dubai as well, and
exactly.
in Africa too.
Yeah, exactly. And in England, I was always in institutions, so there was always a refectory or a restaurant on campus that we could go to.
That's right.
So yeah, so the first year I spent just actually, you know, timing myself as how fast I could chop an onion. It's a skill, okay? So yeah, so for the first year I didn't do anything. Jagdish went straight into business.
I see.
So he was traveling a lot, and then now he's semi-retired, and he's in the in the real estate business.
Yes.
And so.
And what about the kids then? They were happy. So why? So you didn't go to Alberta, but you came to British Columbia.
At Vancouver, because we had quite a few of his siblings here. 4 of his siblings were here. So, and that's where we'd been visiting actually for the 7 years, mostly here. So yes, we came here and settled down, and the children, we put them into a private school because we didn't want the culture shock to be too strong for them. At least they had uniform here, so could carry on from where they left off in Hong Kong.
Right.
More discipline, more individual attention, smaller class sizes.
Yeah.
So they went to
so why did you feel the urge to work then?
I've always, I come from a work culture, work ethic. I have a work ethic. I always feel that if I'm educated, I must put it to use. And I've always felt this great interest in the community, so wanting to be part of the community. So yes, I started work in Hong Kong actually. I was a teacher of English English as a foreign language at the British Council and at the Academy of Performing Arts as well. Right. So I'd already started working there part-time because I had children. Right. And so when I came here, again I started working part-time in the same field. Right. And as a teacher? As a teacher of English. And then I became a teacher trainer.
And then how did you get into success?
As a teacher of English as a second language.
Okay.
And so I do teacher training for part of the year, and when I'm not doing that, I'm in the classroom teaching adult new immigrants. And I love what I do, and I'm reluctant to retire.
No, I don't think people who like their job should retire at all.
Yes.
You know, because then it is like from a very busy life, hustle bustle, and you're suddenly sitting at home and watching TV.
Oh, and that's not for me. I'm not the greatest of, homebodies.
No.
Yes.
I think I find that more with people who do work with their. I'm not saying that the people who do work with their hands, etc., find it. They have to stop doing it because your physical body gets tired, right? So they need a break. But people who are usually doing work with their head most of the time, they cannot sort of sit down and not do anything.
That's very true. In fact, about 5 years ago, I had an unstable hip problem, basically. So I was told to stop work because my job enlists standing for about 6 hours a day, and I was playing tennis for the for a league as well at that time. So there was a lot of practices there.
Right.
So I was told to stop the tennis and stop the teaching because it hurt my hip.
Yeah.
It was very inflamed, so I had to stop it for a while. And that's when, you're right, the brain is like, what shall I do with my brain?
I know.
I'm not somebody who does things with her hands and makes curtains and things,
Right.
So that's when I decided I will finish that dream of doing my master's. So I did that then, and I worked minimum hours because I needed a classroom as a
Right.
practicum. So yeah, you're
You
right.
did all that, yeah. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I don't see myself anywhere but here and just continuing to do what I do, to tell you the truth.
Never retire.
No, until I
Until
can't,
they push you out.
Until I'm pushed out, basically, yes.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I still feel, there's a niche for me.
But you have traveled a lot, haven't you?
Yes.
I mean, when you said you went to Zaire, I mean, what other countries have you been to?
Oh, gosh, well, because I couldn't go to Dubai every summer because of the heat, I would meet my parents in Cyprus or other parts of Africa
Right.
or other parts of Europe. So
Right.
quite extensive traveling.
And do you like traveling?
I love traveling.
Yeah?
Yes, and I have a physical itch sometimes after a year or so. I feel like, I've got
to go.
I've got to go somewhere, yes.
Which is the place that's on your bucket list?
The next place is Turkey. I've never been there, and I would love to go there.
And you love the food there?
I would love the food there because my son Ishan has a Turkish girlfriend, an American Turkish girlfriend, and she made a beautiful feast for us. And I was like, yes, I like Turkish food.
I love that. Then talk about the kids. So 2 boys, what are they doing?
Yes. Ishan is a chartered accountant,
Okay.
and he works for DHL, a travel, it's like UPS or FedEx.
Right.
And his title is the Regional Controller
Okay.
of the West Americas. So that's what he does. And the younger one, Josh, he works for Dell EMC.
Okay.
And he's a products expert.
Right.
And he is responsible for the Western Canada region.
So when they get married, do you have a say in who they choose?
I didn't have a say in who I chose. I just fell in love and followed that magnet. So it would be a bit hypocritical of me to
do
dictate to them what to do.
If you had a daughter, would
Yes.
it change?
If I had a daughter, would it change?
Yeah.
Would it change?
Would
That's
it have
very interesting.
changed your thought?
I would
about-
have wanted her to be as independent as I was, I think. I don't think so. I personally don't think so.
I don't think
I was
you
a
would.
daughter.
Yeah. Bibi, it's been great talking to you.
To you too, Sushma. You're very easy to talk to. I was so nervous before this. I'm totally at ease. I want to carry on.
Thank you for being our Woman in Focus today.
Thank you very much, Sushma.
Bibi Singh has been our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.